This is Fight Capital, where I step into the ring of combat sports business. I'm your host, Ryan Rapaport. Today, we have Eliot Marshall joining us, a veteran of the UFC and Ultimate Fighter show, as well as co-owner of Easton Training Center. He's also an entrepreneur, podcast, host, trainer, author, world-class speaker, husband, and father. Eliot, I'm excited to have you on the show today for several reasons. On top of this being my first podcast for Fight Capital, I'm glad it's with you because I'm inspired by your content and coaching since 2017. There are many more reasons why I'm stoked for today. But before we start, how are you doing and where are you joining us from today?
Man, I'm doing great, Ryan. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. Where am I? I'm in my basement. I'm in my podcast office, and you know where all the quote unquote magic happens.
Yeah, well, I tune in regularly, and you know, I've been watching this transformation of your content,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got me wondering, you know, starting off as a martial arts trainee, going through
Mm-hmm.
your UFC and MMA career, and now leading Easton Training Center as a co-owner. Can you reflect on that transformation and how that path played out?
Oh God, I'm the luckiest dude in the world. And I say that because what I call luck is that your hard work actually pays off, right? Because there's so many people in the world who they work 10 times as hard as me just to have like a little bit of food and water on their table, and my hard work, I get these massive upsides, you know, with the people in my life, especially financially. I have a really great life. I get to do what I want all the time, every single day. So it's been an interesting ride for me. So like that's where I always like to start with, is just how lucky I am that I get to wake up and do what I want every day. I don't have a boss, and yeah, it worked. I
Well,
don't
I
know
mean,
what else to. Yeah,
no, I mean, obviously there's challenges in there, and you
of
know,
course.
making that shift from an athlete to running a business. You know, how has
Mm-hmm.
that shaped your perspective on entrepreneurship?
Okay, so we have to go over this word entrepreneur. Okay, I think an entrepreneur is different. Like, I think an entrepreneur is a serial entrepreneur, like somebody who just owns a business and like works for themselves. That's not an entrepreneur. You're just a business owner, in my opinion. An entrepreneur is someone who loves business. And I can't say that I'm quite that. Like, I love the businesses that I love. I love personal growth, and I love fighting, martial arts. So outside of that, I'm not interested in like if somebody, like my buddy, I have a buddy who wanted to, you know, get back into business. Like, he had taken a break for a little while, and he went and bought an asphalt company, and he built it to like the best asphalt company in the nation. I'm never buying a fucking asphalt company. Like, it's just not happening, because I don't care. Like, I only want to do what I want to do. And so like business doesn't really do it for me. My business does it for me. But as far as the transition from athlete to business owner, I've been teaching my whole life. You know, I started teaching when I was 9 years old, 10 years old, something like that. And it just comes very second nature to me, I guess. As far as running a business, I don't really run it anymore. Mike runs it, and he's a boss. And I think that's part of business ownership, is realizing that you might not be the best at this. You know, you might not be the best of operating the business. So get to the get to the places in the business where you're best. And for me, that's like being a figurehead and teaching classes.
Well, I mean, obviously that there's a lot that goes into that even, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how do you orchestrate all that harmony between the teaching, obviously not doing the business management more, but obviously your personal life, your coaching, your competition? I mean, how has that approach evolved as you transformed over the years?
Well, I don't compete anymore. So uh that part has ended for me, just because I needed to focus on other people. You know, like it was time to do that for sure. Uh how has it evolved? You learn how to speak better. And that's what it is. You learn how to communicate really, really well. And that's just a constant, ever change, ever growing process of learning how to speak with someone, hear about their issues, and get to the core of things, uh, simply and easily. And then learning I hate saying this, but learning that it's lonely at the top sometimes, like you have to be lonely a little bit, and that's okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure during that time there's always these challenges or unforeseen aspects that are
Oh,
popping
of
in.
course.
Yeah, and it's 2011 is when you started the gym.
Yeah, 2012 is when I bought in, or 2011. Yeah, I bought in. Yep, that's when I bought into them.
And so, I mean, is there any parts of that that took you by surprise as you transitioned from being that full-time athlete into a business participant?
I couldn't understand why somebody doesn't work hard. Like it blew my mind. Like, if you have follow-up calls to do, what do you mean you didn't do them? What the fuck are you talking about? You didn't do the follow-up calls. Why? It's your job. And I always do my job. Like, I never don't do my job, whether I did it perfectly or not, right? Like, I go in there, I lose fights. Yeah, sure. All that stuff. Right. But like, so mistakes is one thing, but just not doing it. What are you fucking talking about? So like, but that's managing people. So, getting to the questions and answers around those things have always, have been challenging.
Well, and I can speak to that from personal experience. Actually, the first time I walked into Easton, Denver,
Oh no,
not
what did
sure
I
if
do?
I was gonna, I wasn't sure if I was gonna start training there. I knew the pedigree of the coaches and of the organization, but you always have to go and check it out. And as soon as I
Yeah.
walk in, you're standing there, and I knew you from UFC, from Ultimate Fighter 7.
Okay.
I'd watched your career, and you were just standing there. You're the first person that greets us. I probably caught you by chance, but you were there all the time. And that's when I knew right then and there, when that figurehead and that head coach is right there and greeting people and making sure they have a great experience. That's what sucked me in, and it was no looking back. I mean, y'all run, in my opinion, one of the best martial arts schools I've ever been to. And I think, around traveling around the country and the world, being to different schools, I think you guys are definitely at the pinnacle. So it's, an honor to talk to you about that today.
Yeah, we run the best for sure. And that's so much. I won't even take too much credit for that. That's Mike and the team, Mike and Ian and Alex. Like, we run the best martial arts schools, and because we're trying to, like our goal is to do that. So our goal is to provide an amazing experience for both the students and the staff, so that people have careers through martial arts. I believe we're the first school, probably on a larger scale, that has been able to create careers for people, right? Like, not just like, you teach for a little bit and then you got to go get a big boy job, where our people don't have to, when you work your way up. Like, Mike got a big job, Ian's got a big boy job out. Like, we have 10 people that have big boy and girl jobs where they make a living, they can feed their family if they want to, and if that's how they choose to do it. Not if they want to, of course they want to. So yeah, like that was the goal. Like, I'm not the only one making money.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And obviously, working with so many professional and amateur
Mm-hmm.
athletes from across MMA, BJJ. I trained with
Mm-hmm.
Coach Sean at the Muay Thai team. He did such a good job of pulling people up, those, green shirts, blue shirts, brown
Yeah.
shirts, getting them training other people, helping them coach. I mean, that, if anything, speaks to the culture that y'all are building there. And there are all these ambitious athletes that are coming into the market, whether it's, from professional sports or just the amateurs that your team is training. Is there any wisdom that you try to impart on those athletes as they're contemplating a transition into corporate life or even entrepreneurship?
Do what you love. Find your passion. Find your passion. Work so hard at it that people have to pay you for it.
And
So, like, I could not personally imagine doing something that I hated every day.
and,
I mean,
and
I
you know
would
that
do it. You do it if you have to, right? Like, if you got to feed your family, for sure. But if you're young, I don't even care. I don't care how old you are. Figure it out. And, figure out how to live a life that you love, and just work, like I said, work so damn hard and get so good that people pay you for it.
mm. Well, take a little bit of turn here. One of the other things I really respect about you is how you've been open with your struggle with anxiety and depression going back to 2015. I have been front and center for some of the more powerful speeches you've given about that, going back to my time training there. Has that personal experience influenced your leadership and business approach, especially concerning the support to your staff and students?
Yeah. I mean, well, the staff and students, I guess as far as that goes, I pay for people's therapy, if that's what you're asking me. That's something that I do because I find it to be very important, especially in struggle. And the reason that I'm open, I call it the 8 Mile story. Okay. You remember the movie 8 Mile?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What happens? Eminem is, he's in this fine. Let's rewind to the end, or let's fast forward to the end. He's in this. He's about to be in the finals of a rap battle. It's his first time not choking, right? And his buddy Cheddar Bob says, "Man, what are you going to do about all the bad shit Papa Doc is going to say about you?" And it's that he lives in a trailer park with his mom. His buddy from high school is sleeping with his mom. His manager banged his chick. He throws up on himself. His car don't work. They beat him up a week ago. Like all this shit, right? Like all this shit. He's like, what are you going to do when Papa Doc says all that? And then M gets out there and he goes first and he raps about that first. He says, and then after he gets done, he goes, "Now what do you have to say?" And what happens to Papa Doc? Papa Doc chokes. He has nothing to say, right? So because he took all of the power, Eminem took all of the power from all of the bad shit that's happened to him in his life by just admitting it. It's when we run from it. It's when you say, "No, this isn't true about me," when it is true about you. Does that make sense? That it has all of this power over you. So what would you like to know about me? That I am insecure, that I have imposter syndrome, that I was fat as a kid and people made fun of me for it. So I always have this fear that I'm fat. I don't think that I'm good enough all the time. I get nervous that my skills and my teaching ability isn't good enough and that students will go find another coach. What else? What else do you want to know? So go ahead and say it about me now. I know this already. That's the reason for it. And look, does it help other people? Of course it does. But there's a narcissistic side to it and an altruistic side to it. So I try not to just ignore be like, "Oh, it's all altruism. It's good for people." No, it's very narcissistic in a way. It's good for me.
And I love and appreciate that. Just to add a personal story in there, and what you speak to is so powerful, whether it's on the podcast or in your content. And that actually, your talks directly affected me back in, I'm fairly open about this, but I haven't put it out there, on a major content channel like this. But back in 2019, I had a really dark moment where, I was contemplating taking my own life. And
I'm sorry.
No, I've grown so much from that. And it's a crazy story, actually. I really believe in serendipity and things happen for a reason. And I called a suicide hotline. They got me. They said, can you make it to a facility to check in, an emergency facility? And I said, yeah. And this was in Boulder. I actually, at the time, was living right next to the Easton Training in Boulder. So I was there a lot. But as going in to check in, like I take an Uber over there. I'm like, what am I doing here? And I go to check in, and the first person at the check-in is a guy who I was training Muay Thai with at ETC Boulder. And I'm like walking in, I'm like, oh my God. I'm having to tell this guy that I'm, not feeling well. I'm like in the darkest place ever in my life. And we had this like really honest moment where he like almost pretended like he didn't know me. And then when I was back in a room waiting for someone to come and talk to me, he came in, he was like, "Hey man," he's like, "I just want to let you know that this stays here. This never leaves this room. If you ever need anything, you want to talk to me, I'm here for you." And that was like a light bulb right there that kind of like impacted me so completely. That was like, man, I'm here in this place. This guy is here. And he's telling me he's here for me. And, I really credit that to the school. I credit that to the type of people who are there and training. And, you know, on top of finding Easton, having that experience, you know, I think is one of the reasons I'm here today. And I'm, you know, thank you for that. And I wish I could remember the guy's name. I've been actually thinking about tracking him down for some time to let him know that impact. But yeah, I just, you know, I think that's important to point out. And that's what your school gave me.
For me in the school, I was a lonely kid, and I had nobody except for my karate school. And that was my experience. So one of the purposes for me is so that nobody ever has to be alone. And like that story just touches my heart because even not at the school, right? Like the school somehow was there, right? Like this, like it was in that moment. So and maybe that made you feel a little more comfortable, maybe because you knew him and he knew you and he was able to comfort you in a way that it worked out. And I don't know, I can't say that, you know, but that's the reason for everything that I do. Like everything that I do is that it's like, okay, we have each other. Like worst comes to worst, we have each other.
Yeah. And that part of the culture and that purpose is evident every single day I was in there.
Nice,
And, you know, looking ahead, you know, having built this foundation, how many schools is it now for Easton?
I think we have 7
schools. Wow.
7 schools. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. You know, what are the aspirations for the schools? And obviously you're bringing new people in, they're being able to span, but how do you envision it evolving in the near future?
You know, I don't know. We ask ourselves this question, like, where do we want to go with it? That's it's a big question, right? You know, I personally don't want much more liability, you know, because there definitely is a ton of liability when you run these schools and you own them. I should say own them because I don't run them. And on the flip side, I love the people. You know, I love the people. So I don't know. You know, that's something for me and Mike and Amal to sit down and discuss. And I'm not quite sure where it is I want to go necessarily with it. I have a great life. I love that we provide an amazing life for other people, as in a career, and they have a place to go. It's a great question that I don't have the answer to, Ryan.
Hey, if we had all the answers, life would be different, right?
Yeah, life would be different, or you'd be dead.
That's a great point. Yeah. Yeah.
One or the other, you know? So,
well, I mean, it sounds like it's a constant evolution too, because I'm sure with the first school and now you're here, you know, Elevation Fight Team and everything that's turned into, just the caliber of athlete you
so
have.
I'm out of Elevation Fight Team. I don't do Elevation Fight Team anymore.
Oh, really?
I just
Wow.
I have my 2 fighters and that's it.
Oh,
I left
crazy.
that at the end of 2021. So I said no more of that for me. It wasn't providing a healthy environment for me and inside the school. So I had to ask them to leave. So that, you know, yeah.
And we can cut any of this out too, you know, just so you know.
Man, I'm down. You can ask me whatever you can ask me whatever you want, homie. Look, everything that has gone bad in my life is my fault. So everything that has gone bad in my life is my fault. So even with Elevation Fight Team, for me, I messed that up, is how I see it. I was the head coach and I was not paying attention to the shifts that were happening on the team. Different people in different roles, right? Like they went from coach to fighter. I'm sorry, from fighter to coach. And even though it was the same person, it was the role switch and some things like that I wasn't paying attention to. And it caused some problems. And, you know, other people's actions are other people's actions. I won't say anything about their actions, but I can only own my end of things.
I mean, that extreme ownership is got to be so critical to being able to run a business, not just, you know, as a human being, but as a coach and a trainer. And I am going to say, I'm going to miss your in-fight commentary that we could hear over the telecast of UFC.
I have an athlete in 2 weeks. You can hear me in 2 weeks.
you know, we will. We will.
Look, man, the extreme ownership thing it's simple. whose fault would you want it to be? If it's somebody else's fault, what can you do about it?
Well, that's that victim mentality, right?
Yeah, I'm stuck. I'm fucked. Exactly. I'm a victim. I'm a victim to this person. I'm a victim to this person and their actions. So therefore, what do you do with that? Where do you go? You have to hope that they do something different. And if they don't want to do something different, then you're fucked, right? But if I can choose, and I can choose to make a different decision, and I can do something different, and I can be better, I can act better. Look, I did it last night. Even in my own personal life, I messed up. And I feel there was a reaction to somebody else in my family, but still it doesn't matter. My reaction was poor. My reaction was awful. So when I go to see my therapist in 3 days, I'm gonna be like, hey, look, this happened. Now look, I'm unconcerned with their end of it. Right? My behavior is the problem. I can't hear you.
Yeah. In the end,
Sorry.
that's the only thing we actually control, right? Is how we react.
Yeah. I can't, if you want to say fuck you to me right now, and then I scream fuck you back, like where's that going to get me?
Yeah, well, that's
and
not
granted,
happening.
look, I mess this up all the time, obviously last night, right? Like I mess it up all the time. But you just get back on the horse and try again.
Yeah, but that's got to have taken you to where you're at today. And maybe that wasn't where you were at when you started going down this path, but that's got to be an essential part as your day to day.
Yeah, I just try not to beat myself up about it, right? Because we beat ourselves up about our mistakes so often that it's just like this compounding thing where you're just like, and then you just stop trying because you're like, oh, I'm just gonna mess it up. But like, I'm really good at messing up. It's actually there's two things that I do best. I survive because I've never not, I've made it through my worst days, and I fuck up. I've done nothing more than, surviving and fucking up. And then every once in a while, you get a good one. You get something right. Then you go back to fucking up, and then you get something right.
Yeah, well, constant failure is the fire, right? I guess that kind of feeds back to the podcast, working your way through that, all those challenges and coming out on the other side, whether better for wear or for worse, right?
The sun comes up tomorrow, man. That was something one of my coaches told me when I was scared about losing a fight. It's like, hey man, the sun comes up tomorrow. You win this fight, lose this fight, champion, not champion, the sun's coming up. And in 200 years, no one's going to know who the fuck you are. So, like in 200 years, no one's going to know who George St. Pierre is. No one's going to know who John Jones is. We're not even going to remember, we're not even going to remember these guys. So, it's important right now.
I think there's a great Marcus Aurelius quote about that to the tune of all of the people that thought they were popular and everyone remember them, all those people are gone. Right. Any people that would have remembered you are gone, right? Obviously, that's not the quote exactly, but
yeah, it's something like that, though. You have to do big things, man. You got to change the world. You got to be Marcus Aurelius. You got to be Martin Luther King behind me here, right? You got to be Steve Jobs, even though he's a dick, he's an asshole. But like you got to do big things to be remembered, on the good end or the bad end, right? Like Hitler will be remembered forever for bad, but you can't. I don't even know if I don't even know if Michael Jordan will be remembered in 200 years. We'll see. 200 years is a long time, but short, right? It's long but short when you're looking at the scope of the universe.
Well, I can tell you, I just get so much value from what you put out there, whether it's your TEDx talk or just your day-to-day stuff. I mean, all the business people you're bringing on, pretty much every time I hear you talk, I get chills. And I have a feeling a lot of other people are that way. And that's part of why this is continuing to move forward and progress. And people are bringing you in to talk. I guess just to wrap up today,
Mhm.
how does the audience support your work? How can we stay up to date with you and everything that you're working on today?
Everything's on my website and my Instagram. So Fire Marshall 205 on Instagram, EliotMarshall.com. I would love to speak. If you're looking for a speaker, a keynote speaker to come in your school, your business, your sports team, I really love to talk. It is something that I practice and work on, and try to give that inspiration, motivation, that feeling of yes, you can. Yes, you can. And the situations of your life don't have to have any real meaning on what you do next. So yeah, that is something I love. And man, download the podcast, say hello, give me a like or a comment on Instagram or my YouTube channel. Yeah, man. That's it. If you want to go to Maui, if anybody wants to go to Maui, we're going to Maui in, I don't know, a month and a half. So if you're into jiu-jitsu and doing mindset stuff and climbing in jungles and rocks and jumping off cliffs and want to do that, go to my website. It's on there. So yeah, all of it. Come to Maui with me. It's amazing. 4 days, best 4 days of your life. You're muted.
Was this your third session in Maui or your
This will be
second?
my fourth. This will be my
Fourth.
fourth session in Maui. Yeah, this will be the fourth go round.
Well, all I've seen is people raving about it every time you come back from one, and I'll betray myself a little bit. I used to, during the Saturday Muay Thai classes, you'd be in there doing the black belt classes, and I used to not pay as much attention to what was being said by the Muay Thai trainers, and more so I was listening to you. And just, man, some of the shit you would say would just be like, I'm like, oh, I'm like, can I clap him? But no, I'm sitting there like with my gloves on, trying to pay attention to Muay Thai. But you were just always so on fire and just providing so much value to those students, to all the students. I mean, I'm there doing Muay Thai, but I'm sitting there listening to you talk about different roles and follow throughs. But then you're dropping wisdom on people as well. And that's just, you're a treasure for that. And the way that you've grown martial arts and you're proliferating it around Colorado is just a true treasure. And so thankful for you, for the schools, and for you coming on today as well, because this is, a journey I'm going on, and being able to talk with people you and gain that knowledge means the most to me.
Oh yeah, man. Belief is hard. Believing in yourself is really, really hard. I wish I had somebody helping me earlier, of not just getting the skills of certain things, but believing in yourself to your core, like fully all the way accepting who you are, your goods, your bads, and saying, you know what, I can do it. And that's a really hard thing to really learn how to do. And that's why I do everything that I do. Like, so man, I'm glad I could help. I'm glad you could hear it. And if I could be just a little sprinkle of dust, a little sprinkle of luck dust on the people who come in front of me, that would be amazing.
Well, I think that speaks to your success. And Eliot, thank you so much for doing this. Really excited. And from here on out, I'll make sure everyone's paying attention. You will get all those good links in the chat, and look forward to having you on again sometime in the future.
You're the man. I appreciate it. Let me know when this comes out and I'll share it.
Yeah.